This is World Awakenings, the fast track to enlightenment with your host, Carl Gruber. World Awakenings is a podcast dedicated to opening your mind, your heart, and your eyes to the fact that the world's population is now, more than ever, awakening to all things spiritual, metaphysical, and enlightening, and just how they play an all-important role in our daily life. So join Carl on this enlightening experience as he interviews metaphysical and spiritual experts to discuss, debate, and delve deeply into the hows and whys of this worldwide awakening.
The law of attraction states that everything is energy and that like attracts like. True spirituality states that the only true reality is that of oneness, unity, and unconditional love and forgiveness. Together, these two are attached at the hip and perform a beautiful symbiotic dance together. Hi, I'm Carl Gruber, author of the brand new book, True Spirituality and the Law of Attraction, Beautiful Symbiotic Relationship. This is a book that will show you how to build a rock-solid personal foundation based on unchanging, eternal, universal truth that shows you how to become a consistent co-creator with the universe to create the life you love to live and live to love. Get your copy today of my new book, True Spirituality and the Law of Attraction, a beautiful symbiotic relationship, and learn how to manifest the life you truly desire to be living. Now available as an ebook or paperback on Amazon. Hi everyone, I'd like to introduce you to my friend Will Rodriguez's awesome podcast, The Skeptic Metaphysicians, now available on all audio platforms and YouTube. Check it out, you won't be disappointed.
My name is Will, and I, like Mulder from the X-Files, want to believe. So I've embarked on a journey of discovery. I've talked to people deeply entrenched in the spiritual and metaphysical worlds. I've thrown myself into weird and wonderful experiences. I've even joined a coven of witches, all in the interest of finding something, anything, that will prove that there's something beyond this physical, three-dimensional world we all live in. This is The Skeptic Metaphysician.
Hi friends, this is the podcast World Awakenings, a fast track to enlightenment. I'm your host, Carl Gruber. I'm so glad that you've chosen to join us for this episode, as we have an amazing woman who is a true trance channel and medium who brings through some wonderfully enlightening beings with messages of hope, oneness, light, and truth. She joins a long list of guests who have helped this show grow a larger and larger knowledge base and understanding of just why it is so important for humanity to understand and live in harmony with all things spiritual, metaphysical, and enlightening. Now, before we head off to meet our guest, please take a moment to check out my brand new book, True Spirituality and the Law of Attraction, a beautiful symbiotic relationship. Now available on Amazon as an ebook or paperback. Just click that link below to get your copy today. So let's check in with our guest today. Linda Green is a natural trance medium and healer based in Seaford, East Sussex in United Kingdom. Her gifts developed over a period of time since childhood. Linda knew that she was in life for a purpose and always felt looked after. These gifts have allowed her to be linked with spirit as she has evolved into adulthood. And Linda connects with the essence of life and communicates with her team of spiritual beings. Now, this enables us all to enhance the openness of change, gain the experience, and allow freedom into our lives. In doing so, we will endure peace and allow transformation to take place, heightening our service to mankind. And that sounds absolutely wonderful. So with that, let's welcome Linda Green to the show. Welcome.
Welcome. Thank you, Carl. It's wonderful to be with you. And thank you for asking us.
And this is not the first time that I've had a chance to chat with you and your spirit team, as you were a guest earlier this year on another podcast I co-host. So again, welcome to the show. Lovely to see you.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes. yes, that was a lovely experience also. And meeting Jen. Yep. And
Yeah,
yourself. Thank you.
our buddy
Yeah.
Jennifer Matthews from Perth, Australia.
Yeah.
Now, before we bring in some of your friends to talk with us, I'm sure you get tired of rehashing this, but could you tell us how you got through childhood, being able to speak to our unseen and the physical friends, to where you are now in life?
Okay, well, I think really I was just I was born, I feel, naturally to process and to begin to understand what an afterlife, so to speak, was and why we were in life. So I joined in my own naturalness with other elements, and I could sense and feel things around me that were not of our world here on the earth, but I understood this. So I worked with this many avenues of thought, and I worked with the presence of it. And many of these aspects came into my adult life in a different way. So as a child, I was really just almost like, I suppose, integrating with what was the purpose of my soul to be on the earth. And I worked with that over time, and I began to understand it more fully as I got older. And they would come to me, I would gel with them, blend with them, analyze things with them, and become more, in a sense, the etheric than I was in a physical when I needed to. So that's all processed into my adult life. Obviously, going through emotional carnage because I had to let go of that to process other things on the etheric sort of side. And that wasn't easy, but they've always brought me forward, and we've progressed as we've gone on, to open up to other systems, to allow all of us to work together now as a one process. So we're almost engaging in the one process with the whole universe. So whatever there is there to transmit, it will come through. So we're very enlightened, I'd say, and very privileged I am to be part of this team.
Well, I love that. I'm just curious on my own of my own self. When you were a child and you were connecting with your spirit team, did your parents and your family and people around you understand what was going on, or did they think it was strange?
Well, I feel as though, in a sense, as I was an observer, I didn't really link in with that as much, because I've always felt I've been observing rather than part of that physical engagement, if you like. So I don't really know. I don't know in the sense as you're asking me that, but only that I feel that they were not really afraid with it in any way at all. My brother was, Peter, he was also sensing and seeing the spirit world. But it wasn't really a process where I can say to you exactly, because it was an observer. I was an observer rather than actual being in the physical in that way, if you understand me. But it wasn't easy. The sensitivity wasn't easy, obviously, like it isn't for any of us, is it? Working with people on different levels, having to find your way, when you really are just wanting to just be within yourself, who you are. So all that comes into it. And I realised actually, Carl, as I got older, that how much I did know at the time and didn't realise it. You know, but I've always been on the outside looking in, an observer.
I
a lot of things, yeah.
I like that description of being an observer. A Course in Miracles calls that being above the battleground, just kind of looking down on trauma without being too pulled into it, you know.
That's a wonderful way of expressing it. I like that. Yeah. It is like that. But obviously we have to go through those processes to find our own soul, to remember what we were, to clear it, don't we, Carl? You know, with any carnage, emotional carnage especially. I feel I went through a lot of emotional carnage in so many ways. But it was like I had to clear it to base myself in the right position, to be able to be with my team at that time in the right way.
There's something to be said about being an observer, because the more I go along in my life and I look at stuff, and And I go, man, this is just too crazy to be involved in it, just looking at what's going on in the world. And if you can pull back and just be an observer instead of so judgmental and on a, living in on the life, on the attack level,
Yeah,
you'll
yeah,
have peace in your life.
it does. I mean, yeah, judgmental. I find myself at times judging things I feel people are perhaps not doing what they should. And I think, come on, don't judge. But I think that's human nature. And we have to discuss things, don't we, to work them out, Carl? So I've come around to the way of thinking, well, okay, I can say that or feel that about something or someone. I'm only observing it. I'm not actually putting it there to destroy it.
Yeah.
So that's how I try and get around that. Not easy.
Well, there's one last question I'd like to ask you. I mean, either you, Linda, or you can bring your team in and answer this question.
Mm-hmm.
You have a website called fusionofoneness.com. Why that name?
Yeah. Right. That name is because the effects of what our can I say that there? Hello there. Hello dear, it's Agnes. Oh, hello. Well, let us just say, my dear, as the fusion is a beginning of something that opens up into a category of events, then it becomes a oneness, doesn't it? Mm-hmm. That's why we actually assisted Linda in calling it this. Does that make sense, my dear?
It does. And I think for those of us here in the 3D plane, who we like to consider ourselves light workers, to us, we start to understand that there is no disconnect, that there is only connection of all that is. So fusion of oneness, I think, is a lovely name.
It is good, ain't it, matey? Hello, it's Nicholas.
Hi, Nick.
And it's good to see you, matey. Yeah, it's almost as if there's a part of the process of being within oneness is making the fusion a lot easier to cope with as well. So you can look at it that way. Yeah?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's quite a topic, and always good to have Nick in. Nick, I think Nick and I have the same sense of humor.
Oh, yeah, I do like you very much, I've been popping round to your place to see what you've been up to. Yeah, because you are a very delightful man. I think that people really... Oh, yes, well, let me just say that you have to start off in the morning with something you feel is in your own pathway, because if it wasn't there, you wouldn't be getting up, would you, dear?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Do you understand that?
I appreciate that. Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
see, I'm just hanging out here above Earth, so I'm an observer. You,
my friend, are what I would call is a magnificent specimen of life. And I don't mean that in the way you think, if you like. It's something that I would say is of a magnificent mechanism that you work with in your force of energy, with your wonderful team who link with you. And you've got that energy there that just assists you on every level. And you don't even realize it half the time, but you are always well endowed with that message of love, community within people, love, and the essence of all. And you've always had that there. So we feel very privileged to be able to speak with you, my friend. Can I say that?
Well, thank you. And, I call my own team Carl, and they don't necessarily speak through me that I know of, but maybe they do, but I just don't realize it. And I listen to them a little bit more than I used to.
Yes, you do. We've been working on you quite a lot, really, over the time since we first acknowledged your gift, because your gift is one that is really, it's not condensed in any way. It's free and it's out there, and you're going to be very experienced with a lot more of this in the next few years, because things are going to suddenly change for you in April with what you're doing now. You're going to do other things in a way that are far more integrated with other forms of existence in the universe. And you'll know what we mean then, because you've got that ability there within you to sustain all what you need, and all that you are now is just working up to that, lovey. So you're going to really find it easier to find your own fulfillment.
Well, I'm ready. I'm ready. Bring it on.
Yeah. How's that lady then you sometimes message? That lady you message quite a lot, don't you?
Lady.
Is she all right? Yeah. Some lady you have to message quite a lot, and sometimes you feel there's always a message there to say to her, because she's like you in many ways, I feel, in that sense that she opens up her heart.
I have a couple colleagues who I feel quite aligned with, and most of them seem to be women light workers, like my friends Jen and Eleni and Renee. So yeah, I'm so privileged to know. Yeah,
Renee, she's the one. Renee, she's I'd say almost like an address book, isn't she? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
she's like an address book. Yeah,
she's been on the show, and yeah, we touched quite a bit. She's an amazing being of light, beacon of light, love, and truth. And I'm so privileged. That's the one thing about what I do as a life coach and a podcaster and an author is I've connected to colleagues around the world that are of the same ilk as I am, and like you too, and Linda and the team. And it's been such a blessing to me, and I think that's helped me as a person blossom and wake up.
It's a stimulating process, isn't it, lovey? But it's the right time now for you all to come together, because the more you're together, the more enlightening you can be with yourself and the outer body experiences. All the things that are coming together in the universe now started to open up, haven't they? And it's like there's a time ahead now where it's really going to become so baffling for some people. We need people like yourselves to be able to say to people, it's okay, it's all right, and you can explain why it's going on. Because there's a lot of people out there that are going to be quite frightened by a lot of experiences. You know that? And it's like we need now to really come to terms with more of what it is that is actually resonating within you all, and we're helping you all to discard certain sort of frequencies that need to be uncovered and unleashed, because then you can actually process a lot more of what I would say is your own uniqueness and that gift of life, because you've all got that wonderful gift of life that's come into your own forum. And lovey, you've got so much work ahead of you. You're going to need time out soon to have a bit of a break, because there's so much coming up. You're going to really feel as though you're beginning to really take yourself seriously, Carl Gruber, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, well, I'll be honest. At this point in my life, I would be perfectly happy to be sitting on the beach in Hawaii, drinking beer, looking at girls bikinis. But I've got other purposes that I feel driven to accomplish. But I can still sit on the beach drinking beer, looking at girls.
Well, you all need a break somewhere, and even Linda will do. What you're doing now, you're pursuing what you need to for other people so they can get on the right track. Now, within the Earth's crust now, there's a lot of information coming out that's starting to process a different frequency within the heart chakra, within the soul, with the human being. And it's starting to really become a lot more interactive with other elements of the Earth's crust, so that it can transform itself into a different category altogether. So you're all going to feel as though you are embracing the energies around the universe, within the universe, in a different way. And it's really going to take over in a few months' time. It's really going to make everyone realise that there's more to the Earth than meets the eye, and also to the universe, because lovey, that there's so much within the soul that is recognised by other elements within the Earth's crust, and all that's going on now is just taking shape on a different level. And these things. And we feel as if, well, the human soul is really beginning to take itself seriously now, because it needs to. And it needs to provide the elements of itself to be a lot more of an effect rather than a need.
And this is what this show is all about, talking
It
about
is. It
exploring.
is.
But, I do want to pursue this. You may know that I'm a facilitator of a Power of Eight healing group on Facebook where we join together virtually, 8 or more of us via video to focus on healing intentions and energies on a person, place, or thing. So I have a great interest in healing, and I know that you're deeply involved in healing. Can you give us some insight on how and why humans manifest illnesses and injuries into their bodies?
Right. Well, as you know, when you actually assess certain situations within your soul about maybe something that has encouraged you to perform a different role, then it shows you've got a different frequency maybe that needs to be aligned. And then as that becomes a little bit more aligned with its service, it shows itself it's not always capable perhaps of what was in the first place given. So it has to change. And in that change, if there's something there that maybe is a little bit uncertain, uneven, unbalanced, and that could cause an effect within the physical, hence an illness. And there's a lot of things coming into the mind's eye now within people who are closing up, I would say, a lot of their energies in a way that they haven't done before, in a sense, because they're maybe now not seeing themselves as they used to. So they're working with a different expression maybe within them that serves them well, but at times, if they're not really embracing that right process that is encouraging themselves to move in a different direction, then it will get stuck, then it will be displaced, and then that shows up as a mental illness. So there are things there, if that helps to answer your question, my friend.
I think humans have a really, really hard time accepting responsibility that it is actually within them is what has caused the illness or the injury in their life, because most people come from a victim mentality that it is outside of themselves. I know A Course in Miracles states that all healing occurs at the level of the mind. Is that correct?
Oh, yes, dear. It's Agnes. I would say that there are many and various aspects that come into this extremity that cause it to affect itself within its own sort of capabilities. But at times when one is not always perhaps preparing themselves in that way, they are a little bit out of kilter. So it almost like it doesn't show itself in the same way as it could do. So it makes that manifestation a little bit more, I'd say, sort of unsettled and incapable, perhaps, of taking its journey forward. So therefore, that settles in a different way. And it motivates itself within a part of that maybe is not really fully recognized. So it begins to see itself within a different section of its soul. So the soul has to then become a little bit more open to allow itself to adjust itself to what is needed.
Thank you for that, Agnes. I appreciate that.
Yeah. It's very enlightening,
It is. Oh my God.
I feel we know each other anyway, my dear. I feel we know each other from other times.
Oh, okay. I'm open to that. So yeah, of course I don't remember squat, but here I am, and but I understand that is true. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Linda wouldn't remember, but she knows there's a link there between you, but she doesn't remember. But maybe one day you'll find out.
All right.
That'd be good. Yeah.
You do what is called hands-on healing. How and why does this work?
How does that work? Well, we called it that because it's the only way that mankind can understand when we say hands-on. It's really just a demonstration of enlightenment around the body. But if we put that down on people's bit of paper, they wonder what we're on about, So it is a part of the process that is there to be, if you like, introduced through the bodily functions, whereupon we use Linda on every level. Energy centers are opened up and they're used on every level to be, if you like, encouraged with the process of evolution within ourselves where we are and around where we are, whether it's to be an adaptation, whether it's to be a physical presence that comes in to heal, or whether it's to be just an alignment from another system working around the etheric. So we will then open and close things as they need to be. That comes with a lot of the aspects, I'd say, of its own sort of pathway into the future, where it needs to be, if you like, condensed or evaporated. A lot of evaporation goes on once we're healing. There's a soul that works with Linda, who comes in to use within the genetic side. He works with the membranes. He uses a liquid to come in to produce another liquid within your cells. This has been seen by people. And it's almost like that liquid is the DNA that represents what you're part of. It produces the elements of what you are. It opens up to what it is and what it needs. And it shows us where we are, that we can integrate with that ourselves, and it helps us to learn. So we're all learning together. So each process has an alignment, has an observation of itself, because you're all observers. It brings into the system another category, so you can transform your energies and heal yourselves. So it really is just an openness of great empathy coming forward with the divine light within whoever that is that wishes to be there or is there. And it opens up the core of yourselves, brings into that core the openness, the evidence of life. It becomes one. It opens itself up to what it needs to be with other people. And then it becomes less active. So we can then get in there. If there's any parts there that need to be taken away, we do that with operations or whatever. If you know what I mean, we take things away. We would operate on certain aspects of yourselves that need to be removed.
Yeah, I think I read that you do spirit operations. That's what it's called. Yeah. Well, that makes sense to me because everything is energy. So I would guess that, many healing modalities like Reiki or biofield tuning with the tuning forks and other things like that, they all, and you using light, they all move energy around into a coherent, normal, healthy fashion.
Yes, lovey. Exactly that. Yes, because everything is moving, isn't it? Yeah. So whatever it is, whether it's something that's got a label put on it, it means it's energy. Everything moves, everything becomes less active when it actually is moving. It becomes less active. So within that, well, I'd say, oh yes, can I just pop in here? Can I just say, as you know, as you introduce yourselves to what you know is your own enlightenment, you become at one with that sacred form of love that is there with you when you sit quietly. Now, when you sit quietly, I know you do, my dear boy, but when you sit quietly, you begin to see things, feel things in a way that maybe you wouldn't have done if you hadn't sat quietly. So therefore, you're really introducing yourself to who you really are. You're beginning to open up into that pattern of thought that is just an awakening all those wonderful links that you have and have had within your soul, and it takes you farther afield. It goes into a different lineage of events. So you work with that. Maybe something before, as you were, maybe, was a little bit more of an ignorant state. So you work with that. You open it up. You seek it. You find it. Then you open up what is there for you to release this so that you can move forward and know. Even when one has an ignorant past, which one has always had in a way with many things, it makes one feel a lot more energetic. So that heals your soul. Mm-hmm. That opens up what you are, doesn't it, lovey? So everything that is around when we work with what we call hands-on, because the hands are beyond the body, the hands are be off the body. It's whatever's going on. And obviously all those involved are working very hard to see that you're all ready to commit yourself to a higher plane of thought. So they'll work with you on that level. So what you receive it's just whatever you are. When someone comes into the room when we work with them, they bring in who they are, don't they, lovey? So we work with that. So that is something I think people need to realise when they do come to people like yourselves, that they are bringing into you what they're showing you to be them. So you have to work with that. You can't work with anything else, can you? And that brings you out into the specific energy fields around the universe, because you come from universal links. You've been around the universal links within the atmospheres, and the oceans are all part of what you are. You know that anyway. And there's often things there that we work with when we give the healing, hands-on healing, because you're part of the ocean. So maybe something will suddenly pop up that is maybe just an essence of what you had not always worked with before or didn't want to work with. Maybe you have to face it. Perhaps it comes in when you need to just remove it. So much to it, yet it's very straightforward, really, believe it or not. You know?
Well, it's interesting, again, referring to my Power of 8 group of healing. It's almost like my co-administrator, Eleni, and I say to her sometimes, oh my gosh, all of humanity needs healing. Sometimes it makes me sad, and then I just suck it up and say, okay, well, let's do the healing, but I mean, it really is amazing. I mean, how humanity for all of time, we just seem to wither away and injure ourselves and hurt ourselves and go away in a bodily form, but we don't go away. I mean, we're eternal beings.
Exactly, lovely. You know that because you're very clued up, and your dad's very close to you. Okay, but I won't go on about that because it's not what it's about. But I would say to you that he does love you,
Oh, well, okay. I love him too. So yeah, that guy was well, like everybody, I mean, dealing with our immediate family and parents, there's always a lot of judgment and interesting feelings and emotions there. Yeah.
Of course. Oh, yes. So do you wish to ask about anything perhaps to do with your, no, your microwave? Sorry, lovely. Someone's just mentioned your microwave. That's funny, ain't it? Do you have problems doing it then, or what? What's going on with the microwave then?
What's going on with what?
With your microwave.
My microwave? My microwave oven?
Yeah, that's it.
Nothing that I know of.
Oh, that's all right then. Someone's just mentioned your microwave.
Oh,
something to do with that. I don't know quite, but never mind.
I'm a bachelor and I cook a lot with it.
You use it a lot. You use it. Okay, yeah, okay, but never mind. But I think, yeah, never mind. Do you have to do something to it sometimes so it works a bit better?
Oh, okay. All right. I will. So, I would like to ask you this question. And actually, before I do that, I want to remind everybody we are talking to the amazing Linda Green and her team of spirit friends, led by the wonderful Nicholas and other friends. And she lives in the UK, and we're so grateful to have her here talking to us today. And I want to ask you guys right now the question that has been the driving question of this show since its inception over 4 years ago. Why now, more than ever, are the people of the world awakening to all things spiritual, metaphysical, and enlightening?
Very good question. Well, in a sense, as you entered the womb, you released a lot of the energies that were required to transmit your earth energies into different ectoplasmic forms. At this time now, there are various aspects that have come into the fore through different dimensional positions to actually endorse a lot of these ectoplasmic forms. And that is because these ectoplasmic forms need to be digressed. They need to be opened up into a different incarnation. So therefore, as you are in your world, with the physical presence allowing itself to be ascended towards what's needed, it helps with the ectoplasmic force to actually become a lot more integrated with what is needed. So you're at this time in the earth plane. I say in the earth plane because you are not on. It's almost like you're beginning to all accelerate now in a vibrational capacity towards what the ectoplasmic forms need. So all of you have come in to choose and to be part of this. You've all recognized this at the beginning of time, actually. You've all recognized this, and you've all begun now to construct a different measure. So all the things you're dealing with are now, if you like, an instruction of freedom that needs to be within every circuit of information. Does that help?
Oh, yeah, it really does. And, you know, my understanding from so many previous guests I've had many other non-physical beings on through channels. I've had Athela from Sirius B on. I've had Daniel the Octarian. I've had the Council and others on and on and on the show. The Council's actually coming back on in a couple of weeks. And they all indicate that humanity right now in this age of Aquarius is going through this transformation from 3D egoic realm into the 5D and beyond.
Yeah, well, we don't look at any sort of 3D, 5D. We don't think it actually exists. It's just a name given by you lot on the earth. So we don't involve ourselves with any sort of form of, let's say, labeling. But what I'd say is we find that seems to interfere with the frequency we work with. And you get to know Linda longer, you'll know what we mean by that. She's a bit of an oddball, but we like oddballs, don't we, love? So yes, there are things that are integrating and becoming less on one level and becoming heightened on another, but they're not in any way in any direction that is not part of all of you. You're all part of it, and you've been working with it for centuries. It's just now it's becoming more apparent to the human form to recognize it, because the physical needs to be now condensed into a different matter. It doesn't need its organs to be as it's been in the past. The organs are becoming less able to connect. They're not reducing and rejecting things as they did. They're becoming less active. They don't need to be as important as they were. So you're all becoming a little bit more sort of out of kilt or unwell, etc., because they're breaking down into other frequencies. And these frequencies need to be now on a vibration that is only just an incident, if you like, rather than a process. Okay? So that works well, really, with all of you, because you're all in a bit of a quandary at the moment, dealing with these things. And it isn't always easy, is it, to process such things, because people don't even know what they are half the time. But all of you are understanding it more now, and it's wonderful. So you're actually traveling into a different circuit of information that is vibrating into a different frequency through you all, hence why you all feel a little bit all over the place, unsettled, steady in yourself. It's all happening because the vibrations have to be more as an incident rather than a prejudgment. And all these things are beginning to, all these things are becoming a lot more, it's violet. All these things are becoming a lot more, I would say, non-negotiable there, because they don't need to be there anymore.
Oh.
No. So you know what I mean there when we say that your bodily functions are all beginning to be a little bit more less accurate in a way. They're not doing their job as they used to.
Not doing our job in what sense?
They're not doing their job. The organs are not doing what they used to do because they don't need to be part of that frequency as it was, because they're becoming less active on that level, lovey. They're becoming less active because they need to be more of a existence beyond an existence. So they're not in demand as they were. And the physical doesn't need that vibration anymore to connect. You know that, Carl. You know that.
So that's part of our transformation then.
Yes, lovey. That's all part of the transformation. It's part of the process of evolution. It's ordaining itself to be as it needs to be. What it shows itself as being is something people think is quite absurd. that they feel things are happening and shouldn't be. But it's not at all like that. It's because they need to be put out on a limb to really take on board the facts of life, what they are, how they came here in the first place, etc.
Very, very, very interesting stuff. Wow. I thank you, Violet, for that. I really appreciate it. You know,
I like talking to the men, you know. Oh, I like talking to the men.
The man?
Not so much the women. The men I find more interesting now.
I love talking to all you guys. We haven't met White Cloud yet, though. I heard White Cloud hangs around.
Oh yes, they'll probably pop in. Yes, he's very close to the team, and he works with a great deal of the energies that are around the universe. So he's in a way just an orchestrator.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well,
and that's his job.
White Cloud being a Native American shaman, does he have an English accent too?
He does talk in his own language when he's talking to the others.
Yeah.
And he will come through in that way. But we didn't want to confuse people with coming through with that sort of lingo. But he does talk in his own language. But when he's talking to people in the groups, he talks in English, of course, because they wouldn't understand him. But he's very present, and he will have a oh yes, he will have a chat with you, lovey. Oh yes, he will come in.
All right, okay. Well, you know me, I'm my big thing for me. I want to know. I have kind of a simple question, but it's a heavy question, and this is one that I'm very curious about. Is what is your definition of the ego?
Oh yes, very good. The ego is a partnership with what you would say is your own reversed opinion.
Reverse opinion?
Reversed opinion, yeah. So it's like a shadow of doubt.
Oh, okay. So unfortunately, the 8 billion people on Earth are living in reverse.
Yeah, because you have to have it, lovey, to actually demonstrate the need to be part of your life. If you didn't have it, you wouldn't be alive. So that is what you know now is part of you, working with you, demonstrating to itself that it is always able to cope in life, whatever way it goes, whether it becomes a part of you that you think is so nice and you're great, or whether it's the opposite, where you feel you're downtrodden and that you're not worthy. But all of this is to do with that. And it will be shown to you all, I feel, in another 3 years' time. There's going to be a link that will come about. It's really going to show people really what ego has caused you to become. Yeah, and it will do, I assure you. I wish to say, I come with love. White cloud bring joy and inspiration too. Aya, oui, aya, but Asha inta, oya takata, mpa, hidden inta, mpa. Yeah, so he's around now. He will. This technology, it doesn't, because we're so natural with the energies. It's like a bit of a barrier, isn't it? It's a bit of a barrier. When we see you one day, which we will do, it'll be different. Then we can all swing round the tree. It's funny, ain't it?
That will be great. I love it. So,
look forward to it.
Wow. You know, I just have so many questions. You know, of course, I have to ask this one. You know, what is the biggest thing that humanity needs to heal that has festered like an open wound since the crazy demic started in 2020?
Yes. Well, that's something, isn't it, lovey, that I think people realise now is just a part of them maybe they wanted to look at but didn't really look at it. So they're really looking at it in a different way now. They're not seeing it as they did before. They're recognising it as something quite different now. So in a sense, what have they really learned from it? That was a time, I believe, where people were involved with the position within themselves to be open, to be able to connect with a form that will help them to evolve without any fear. But what happened? The fear took over. So it, in a sense, put a dent in them. But it's made everyone, I believe, lovely, realise now maybe how lucky they are, of course, if they've come through it, if families have had loved ones that have passed away, whatever. But it's made them realise too, I think, that perhaps there is something else that there is to meet the eye within themselves. So maybe some people have thought a bit more about it, opened up a bit more and understood it, who they are. But I think a lot of people have been just taking it for granted. So you've got a mixture here. But I believe that the ones who passed away, obviously, it was their time. It was a presence of mind that was there to indicate to them that wherever they were at the time, it was the right place, because it was their indignation in a way that was processed, and they didn't stop to think. And there's a lot more in that. But I believe there are things within the social side as well, with people dealing with that they felt was completely unfair. So they got a lot of anger out of themselves. They released a lot of the anger into the atmosphere. So that took on a different role with a lot of things. It began to assess the situation within a process that made people understand more about maybe what really was within the atmospheres, or maybe their soul perhaps recognised something. So it really took on board a lot of different, didn't it, Lovey, issues and different ways of looking at it. But it was there for a reason, and it was all man-made anyway, wasn't it, Lovey?
Yeah,
it was all man-made.
I've heard this said from a number of guests and colleagues of mine that this last couple of years, the seemingly dark time in humanity's history actually was a blessing to cause us to be more self-inflective and look a little deeper into ourselves and what we're looking for really to become and be and do and have in this life.
Yeah. Oh, yes, Dad. But it also took away a lot of fear as well, didn't it, Dad? Which was good, because it made everybody become more aligned with things maybe they wouldn't have done. So the fear rate, if you like, I can only put it that way, went down. So it wasn't so heightened. And some people, I feel, who feared so much, well, then they lost control. And then they became just, they became really, well, let's put it this way, they passed away, didn't they? Yeah. You know, they passed away because it wasn't. It's like, if you think about it, Lovey, when you think about it, where people are actually beginning to really ascend towards a different legacy somewhere, they feel as though they're moving. They feel as if they're recognising something. But when people start to really become less active on that level, they really become like a bag of spuds, don't they? Heavily laden, you know? And it makes you release a different energy into the process. So their energy change, they become more heavily laden, and that makes them feel as though they're not getting anywhere. So their energies change into a negative form.
Yeah. Wow.
And it makes it all work different. Yeah. Oh, yes. Consider yourself at home. Consider yourself one of the family. We like to talk to you on here. And I say to you, bring back whatever you need to do. As I look at you, Carl Kruber, I think what a man he is, because he knows himself so well. But at times we can say to you, oh, yes, we think you are swell.
That would be Nick singing, I do believe.
Oh,
right?
Yes, it's me, love. Yes, only me. It's only me, isn't it?
I love it. Well, we're going to wind up here, and this has been an amazing chat with Linda Green and her amazing team of spirit team. I'm going to ask one last question, just as a spiritual student and a seeker. Isn't the goal of us being here in this realm of Earth in a body, and it doesn't even have to be on Earth, it could be any being within the known universe and galaxies, isn't the final goal to awaken from a dream of separation and come back home to source and join all back in oneness?
Oh, yes, dear. It's almost like the vibration is there to be accepted by the soul, and for the soul to recognize that at times there has to be a blip, but at times there is this unique particle of energy that is assisting you all to become less physical. So once that becomes, if you like, a physical presence that is non-void, if you like, it will become less of an experience. It will become more of an openness of oneness. So you're really all dedicating yourself towards this goal. Being as you are a presence of mind that comes together, lovey, bringing into this form that you do, opening up that release of motionless energy at times that needs to be dispersed, helping you all to recover from what you'd say is your own empathy, but also becoming empathy. That's another story to talk about another time, empathy. But it's like it's suddenly going to integrate and become, in that oneness, a section of freedom. That is the word. So you're becoming less of anything, more of everything else.
Wow. Well, thank you for that. I really appreciate that.
Important. I know the question. Bless you.
Like I said, I just, that's for me, I just really wanted to hear that. Well, we're going to wind up here. We've been speaking to Linda Green from the United Kingdom. And Linda, you are amazing. And she has a website called fusionofoneness.com. I suggest you go there. Is that the best way for people to connect with you?
Yes, I think so. Email. I have got an email address which is on there. I am on Facebook. I've got a Facebook page to do with the work. I'm on there. Also, we've got Consider Yourself, which is a community interest company that we've set up.
Okay.
Which is also on there, which we just need to find the right building to work from. But that's all going on. It's marvellous. So more people know about that better as well.
Well,
some lovely people involved with it.
Linda and Nick and team, thank you for what you do for humanity and helping all of us. And we really thank you. We're blessed to have you here.
Thank you so much, Carl. Thank you for asking us. We're very happy to be here. And thank you. Bless you.
This has been another episode of World Awakenings, the fast track to enlightenment with host Carl Gruber, a certified law of attraction life coach. We welcome you to tune in to each and every episode of World Awakenings as we open your mind, your heart, and your eyes to the fact that the world's population is now, more than ever, awakening to the truth of all things spiritual, metaphysical, and enlightening, and just how much they play an all-important role in our moment-to-moment daily life. Much love and light to you, my friend, and thank you for tuning into World Awakenings.